tarps, the silent encampments that emerge overnight and disappear by morning. It's 2026, and once again, the streets of America tell a story that our leaders refuse to confront. I walk by these temporary communities and wonder, when did poverty transform into a crime scene? With the new administration in power, vowing to clean up the streets, the battle over homelessness takes a more sinister turn, one that mixes compassion with control. This has stopped being just a political issue. It's about who we become when the people we pass every day have nowhere to turn. The answer may say more about us than it does about them.
It's gonna be winter again, it's gonna get cold. I don't wanna be out here in this cold again. Last year was so terrible.
We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, got a lot of problems.
1. The shift in focus. From housing first to treatment first. Across the United States, the conversation surrounding homelessness has taken a sharp and unsettling turn.
They're supposed to be housing people here, and there's none.
In his 2024 campaign, Donald Trump vowed to bring order to the streets. And by 2026, that promise has transformed into a policy. But this time, it's no longer about constructing homes. It's about control. The new approach, known as treatment first, turns the housing first model on its head. Instead of providing shelter as a starting point for recovery, individuals must first submit to treatment, surveillance, and compliance. Trump's administration contends that America's homelessness crisis isn't about a lack of housing, but about a failure of discipline. They argue that too many choose the streets, that addiction and mental illness have turned urban centers into open-air psychiatric wards.
I never know when I'm going to lose my RV. I could be in a tent tomorrow because I can't afford any other type of housing. So day by day, you never know what's going to happen or where you're going to be tomorrow. If you're going to be safe, you're going to be sheltered. It's scary.
But when you stand on a corner in Los Angeles and see a man shivering under a thin blanket, is that really a choice? The administration insists it's doing the right thing, saving people from themselves. But for those living in the tents, it feels more like punishment disguised as compassion. This idea didn't come out of nowhere. It was born from the Heritage Foundation's Project 2026, a plan that redefines homelessness as a moral failing rather than a societal issue. For Trump, who has built his political resurgence on the mantra of law and order, this philosophy is a perfect fit. Under this new system, the funds once allocated for housing are now funneled into mandatory rehab centers and psychiatric programs. And if someone refuses to comply, the next knock on their tent flap may not come from a caseworker, but from the police. I've spoken to outreach workers who describe the shift as cold and efficient. One said quietly, "They don't see people anymore, just problems to be moved." The political machinery behind the policy. You could almost sense the shift coming, not as a storm, but as a building pressure beneath the surface. By the time Trump regained power in 2024, homelessness had transformed from a social issue into a symbol. His campaign understood this. They turned it into a narrative, one of danger, decay, and lost control. Nighttime drone footage of tents stretching across downtown streets was shown over and over, accompanied by flickering fires, shadowy figures, and police sirens echoing off concrete. The message was clear and visceral. America was no longer safe, and someone needed to restore order. People didn't just watch, it struck them. Fear and frustration spread like wildfire through suburbs and small towns. It was no longer just about the homeless. It was about what they represented: chaos, addiction, disorder, everything people wanted to push away. Trump gave that fear a face and a promise. We will clean up our streets. He didn't waste time delivering on that promise. The pivotal moment came in June 2024, when the Supreme Court ruled in Grants Pass versus Johnson that cities could legally ban camping on public land, even if they didn't have enough shelter space. That ruling acted as fuel on an already blazing fire. Within months, city after city began enforcing new bans. Some labeled them safety initiatives. Others called them cleanups. But for those living under the blue tarps, they felt more like raids. Then came Executive Order 14,321, signed on July 24, 2026, titled Ending Crime and Disorder on America's Streets. It rewarded cities that cracked down on street camping and loitering. It urged federal agencies to track habitual offenders. And it authorized something new: federally sanctioned tent cities. Official fenced-in zones where the homeless would be relocated for treatment and control. The order also established these tent cities on federal land, temporary facilities designed to house, treat, and rehabilitate the unhoused. In theory, these sites would offer clean shelter, medical care, and security. But in practice, they posed a far tougher question. What happens when a tent becomes the only roof someone is permitted to have? Trump's supporters hailed these sites as a practical solution. They argued that centralizing and managing the homeless population was better than letting them scatter throughout urban centers. Meanwhile, critics, including advocacy groups like the National Alliance to End Homelessness and the ACLU, saw the program as a step backward for human rights. They warned it was nothing more than forced relocation and the criminalization of poverty. And as the year unfolded, their warnings seemed increasingly accurate. The emergence of the new tent cities. Travel across the country today, and you'll witness a new America taking shape. Not in shining glass towers or emerging tech hubs, but in fields surrounded by chain-link fences and lined with identical gray tents. These are the federally sanctioned tent cities, the cornerstone of Trump's 2026 policy on homelessness. They're clean, orderly, and heavily monitored, and stark contrast to the chaotic camps that once filled the streets of cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco. On the surface, it all seems like progress, but if you spend enough time inside those fences, the picture begins to shift. In Florida, the first pilot site opened just outside Miami in January. 200 people were relocated there overnight, some willing, most not. Inside the camp, residents receive food, medical care, and job counseling. But there's a catch: curfews, mandatory programs, and police notifications for anyone who leaves without permission. One woman told me it felt less like a shelter and more like rehab with guards. Utah took a larger approach. In October, a sprawling homeless campus opened just outside Salt Lake City, providing space for 1,300 people. Officials dubbed it compassionate enforcement. The phrase spread quickly, as though those two words could make control sound like kindness. But compassion doesn't need surveillance cameras. It doesn't need barbed wire. Then there's Washington, D.C. In March, the National Guard cleared more than 500 tents from the streets near Union Station. Many of those displaced were sent to new federal camps on the outskirts of the city. By summer, the visible number of homeless encampments had dropped by nearly half. It appeared like a victory until you understood the cost of achieving it. When I visited one of those sites in late August, the silence was chilling. Rows of identical tents stretched across a barren field. A sign at the entrance read, "Restoration through discipline." Inside, a man named Brian, a 50-something veteran, told me, "They say this is temporary, but when there's nowhere else to go, temporary life starts to feel like forever." His words cut through the slogans and policy statements, because this isn't about ending homelessness. It's about controlling it, pushing it out of sight so the rest of us don't have to face it. Under Executive Order 14,321, cities that comply with federal enforcement guidelines receive priority funding. Cities that don't, like Los Angeles and San Francisco, even with their Democratic leadership, risk being cut off. By August, Los Angeles had cleared over 1,000 tents from Skid Row, relocating many residents to a new transitional tent city beyond the city limits. Officials called it a humane compromise. Advocates called it punishment dressed up in nicer packaging. The logic is simple, yet cruel. Comply or disappear. For some, it feels like safety. For others, it feels like surrender. Still, polls show that more than half of Americans support these measures. Perhaps it's exhaustion. Perhaps it's fear. Or maybe it's that collective instinct to look away when something feels too heavy to fix. But as I left that camp in D.C., the image that stayed with me wasn't the tents or the fences. It was Brian's quiet gaze through the wire, a look that asked the question no policy can answer. When did we start measuring progress by how well we hide the people we've failed to help? The political blame game. Every election season, the routine is always the same. Politicians take the stage, point fingers, and talk about how they'll solve homelessness, treating it like a pothole to fix rather than a crisis involving real people. Democrats speak of compassion and long-term investments. Republicans warn of chaos and emphasize the need for law and order. Each side has their talking points memorized, each one convinced that the other is responsible for the state of the streets. But once the cameras are off, the promises fade, and the tents remain right where they've always been. From my perspective, homelessness in America stopped being just a crisis long ago. It's become a political tool. Cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco are held up by conservatives as proof of liberal failure. Meanwhile, liberals accuse red states of neglecting the poor and mentally ill. The arguments bounce back and forth like a never-ending tennis match, but the people caught in the middle never move any closer to the help they need. Last year, a policy researcher in DC told me something I can't forget. We study homelessness like it's just data, but we almost never talk to the people living it. She was right. So many decisions are made in quiet rooms, miles away from the sidewalks where lives are truly unraveling. You can't feel the cold from inside a committee meeting. You can't smell the damp concrete through a policy memo. Sometimes I wonder if they even see them anymore. The faces under the bridges, the quiet figures on park benches. Or maybe we've all learned how not to look, just to make it easier to sleep at night. The economic pulse of despair. Homelessness is the shadow cast by an economy that loves to boast about its own strength. We hear about record job growth, thriving markets, and rising consumer confidence. But beneath those headlines, a different reality quietly unfolds. It's the story of wages that never seem to rise fast enough, rents that soar beyond reach, and families who slip through the cracks, one missed paycheck at a time. From Seattle to Miami, I've met people who once thought they were secure, those with steady jobs, good credit, maybe even a little savings. Then came the layoff, the medical bill, or the landlord's eviction notice. And just like that, stability was gone. For older Americans, especially veterans or retirees living on fixed incomes, it doesn't take much. One car repair, one health emergency, and the ground falls out from beneath them. It's a cruel irony, isn't it? We call this the land of opportunity, yet so many are just one rent check away from ruin. When people talk about homelessness in America, they picture tents and cardboard signs. But the truth is, it often starts long before someone ends up on the street. It starts with the math that never quite adds up. Still, I've seen something in those living this harsh reality, a kind of stubborn hope that refuses to die. A retired teacher in Phoenix who tutors children for free at a shelter. A construction worker in Detroit who sleeps in his truck but still sends whatever he can to his daughter's college fund. These small acts of defiance remind me that even in the midst of despair, there is dignity. But compassion alone won't fix what's broken. It takes courage. The kind of courage that changes zoning laws, rebuilds communities, and treats housing not as charity, but as the foundation of who we are. The power of community and innovation. Despite all the political noise and empty promises, I've witnessed small sparks of hope that remind me this country still has heart. In Texas, there's a place called Community First Village, a neighborhood of tiny homes built for those who've spent years without one. It's more than just shelter. It's a family. Residents grow vegetables together, share meals under string lights, and find purpose in simple, everyday moments. In Seattle, mobile shower units roll through the city, providing not only hygiene, but dignity. These efforts aren't big or flashy. They don't come with elaborate slogans or press conferences, but they work because they prioritize people over problems. They remind us that sometimes the most powerful solutions don't start in Washington. They start on a front porch, in a church basement, or in the back of a van, where someone simply chose to care. I've come to believe this is the real revolution, the kind that doesn't need headlines. While politicians debate definitions and budgets, local communities are quietly rebuilding lives from the ground up. They're showing that compassion and innovation still belong to the people, not the system. Maybe that's where our future begins, not in policy papers or executive orders, but in the courage of neighbors who refuse to look away. What the future demands. If there's one thing these past few years have taught me, it's that homelessness won't be solved by charity drives or holiday donations. While kindness matters, what we need now is courage. True change requires a shift in the systems that keep people trapped: housing, healthcare, wages, and the way we define success as a nation. We need to rethink how our cities develop. Affordable housing can't be an afterthought. It has to be woven into the very fabric of city planning from the beginning. We need rent policies that are fair, not punitive. We need mental health services that follow people long enough to make a difference, not programs that vanish after a few visits. And we need job opportunities that rebuild dignity, not just offer a means of survival. But beyond policies and plans, there's a deeper issue: a moral reckoning. For decades, we've treated homelessness as someone else's mistake, something that happens to others. But the truth is, it's us. It's our reflection staring back from the sidewalks of every major city. Sometimes I wonder what the founding fathers would think if they stood on the steps of the Capitol today and saw tent cities stretching toward the horizon. Would they still call this the land of liberty, or would they see a nation that's lost its balance between freedom and care? We can't fix what we refuse to see. And maybe that's where the real work begins. Not in finding new ways to hide the problem, but in finally facing it together. Conclusion. As this video comes to a close, I keep thinking about what this crisis truly reveals about us, not just as a nation, but as human beings. Homelessness isn't just about tents, shelters, or statistics. It's about what happens when a society forgets how to care for its own. Behind every tarp and cardboard sign is a story that could have been any of ours. A lost job, an illness, a wrong turn. Life never given the chance to heal. When we talk about homelessness in America, we often focus on numbers. But numbers don't feel cold nights or empty stomachs. People do. They carry memories, regrets, and hopes that refuse to die. And yet, somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing them as part of us. We built walls of judgment where bridges of compassion should have been. The truth is, homelessness is not just the failure of housing policy. It's the failure of connection. People lose homes, yes, but they also lose belonging, trust, and the comfort of being known. Fixing this isn't just about building more units or expanding programs. It's about rebuilding the social fabric that makes those things meaningful. Real change starts the moment we decide to truly see, not glance, not pity, but see. Because the line between security and struggle is thinner than most of us want to admit. So the next time you pass someone sitting alone on a sidewalk, don't turn away. Let that moment remind you that the strength of a country isn't measured by how it treats the powerful, but by how it holds the forgotten. Homelessness in America is more than a crisis. It's a question, and the answer will reveal who we really are. This video was created for the purpose of education, awareness, and reflection to inspire understanding, not division, and to remind us that empathy is still the most powerful form of change.